fuck in the club like fuck that shit. Got my tone in the club like fuck that shit.
Episode 18 Marc, Her. Quite romantic if you ask me. I remember it perfectly. It was a Tuesday night and I was outside a pub with some colleagues who wanted to have a smoke. Once they started going back inside, I heard sobbing and cursing in the small alley nearby. I wanted to get back in. I remember the weather was quite chilly, but it sounded like a woman was crying. And you know me, I'm a gentleman. Couldn't disregard the issue and get back in for more beer. So I went to look at what was going on instead. And there she was. The alley was dark, but from the reflecting dim light I could see her, leaning against the wall, makeup running down her face mixed with copious tears. She was crying and saying something I couldn't really understand, but it still sounded as cursing. I didn't want to scare her, so I said a hello, hoping she would notice me. Instead, she didn't even turn at me and in a very rude voice told me, "I'm not working, go away." She must have been working in the pub for sure, but I never noticed her before. Anyway, I told her I was not there to bother her, but to make sure she was okay, and then she looked at me. Her face was the one of an angel. Even with all the mascara spread around her face, she was gorgeous. Long dark hair, beautiful dark eyes, and her lips looked juicy. I fell in love instantly. She was freezing. No jacket, but only a tiny dress that wasn't covering much. I thought that girls really make a huge effort to work in a bar dressed up like this. For sure, some drunk customers may even think she was an easy girl. But it's just the looks, and maybe it's something needed if you want to get good tips. While I placed my coat on her shoulders, she looked at me in a different way. I'm sure she fell in love with me the same way I did for her, in an instant. So we started talking, explaining to me how the whole world seemed to be against her, how her job was bad for her, how she was freezing every night just because she had to dress that way, how her boyfriend dumped her, and about the extradition letter she got from the government asking her to leave the country in 30 days. So she told me she was from Albania and that she was brought to the UK for a prospect dream job, while instead she's been slapped and forced to do other types of things. She told me how tough it was and how she had to do disgusting things she wouldn't mention to me. I guess that she had to go through a cleaning job in some awful house of a dirty rich man. She didn't give me any detail about her past, but I was already in ecstasy and wanting to kiss her. Suddenly she stopped the conversation, looked at me and asked me if I was British. Yes. Are you married? No. And then she kissed me. She smelled like cigarettes and alcohol, but it was the best kiss of my life. As I asked her if she wanted me to walk her home, she shook her head and told me that she didn't want to go back there. So I invited her to my place, and I finally saw a big smile on her face. The night was really nice, but as the gentleman I am, I will not tell you the details. What I can tell you is that the next morning she started crying again, and when I tried to comfort her and find out what was wrong, she told me that she had feelings for me, but that she had to leave the country. Unless I asked her to marry me. She was so happy for simply hearing the question. It made me happy as well. She wouldn't get deported, and I could get more of her. Bingo!